Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to another Plotting and Scheming Extra. It is the character kit review for Captain Ithano. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. That's my hint for how to say the name. All right, unit name. Oh, by the way, of course, I am joined by my regular co-host from Plotting and Scheming, Dagger. Say hi, Dagger.
I'm excited to do Josh Brolin's kit.
I'm sure you are. TJ, how you doing?
I'm just here for the booty. It's going to be the season of this. You just take it for what it is. You don't get to change it. We're going live. They're going to do pirates. We're getting that booty.
Fair.
Oh
Fair.
man, you got what's that terrible song by Iggy Azalea and Jennifer Lopez that's actually called
no
Booty?
idea.
Popped into my head just when you said that.
Sorry.
I believe you.
It's
but
a terrible
no,
joke.
I've got nothing for you.
Yeah.
All right, Sasha Aisha, how you doing today?
Hi, Dagger. I'm the only one that followed instructions. I'm doing well.
Fantastic. All right, and then last but not least, Fatal. How are you?
I'm standing by for the next 3 months, waiting for some pirates to come out to make this kit usable, probably.
Yes, that was kind of my interpretation of this overall as well. But anyways, before we get too deep, there's just the opening notes on this guy. Unit name, Captain Ithano. Alignment, Dark Side. Categories, Attacker, Leader, Pirates, Scoundrel, and Order 66 Raid. Key attributes, one of the leaders for the pirate faction. 2 core concepts that will be key to all upcoming pirates. Profit, previously only seen on New Gunray, and then Stealing. Inspiration is whatever. Strategy tips. To maximize Captain Ithano's potential, be sure to stack Profit with care. Utilize his special ability, Intimidating Display, to inflict fear, deal damage to all enemies, and expose the target enemy. When you have more than 4 stacks of Profit, so 5+, unleash this ability, which performs a trade-off by removing all stacks and inflict bonus true damage. Take advantage of Captain Ithano's unique ability, I Don't Die So Easily. With every move performed, Ithano gains foresight, allowing you to shift the battle's momentum. Remember, Ithano revives the first time he's defeated, letting him re-enter the fray and continue his assault. Use his basic ability, Corsair Blaster Rifle, to gain offense up, setting the stage for powerful special attacks, and also grant foresight to pirates' support and tank allies. Be sure to watch out for enemies gaining defense up or protection up. When this happens, deploy Ithano's special ability, Lower Ye Shields, to steal these buffs and grant them to all pirate allies, turning the tide in your favor. By the way, guys, when I said for better or for worse, I'm starting this before I hit the button. Part of what I meant by that was all of the, ability titles will be read in a pirate voice. I won't apologize. All right.
Hence my booty joke, and you won't apologize for that either. We're here for it. If
Hey.
TG's doing this, we're doing it.
That's right.
Look, I'm here to review Thanos' kit.
Yes. And here we are. It is July 1st as of this recording. So, yeah, we just had Ithano unlock a few hours ago. I'll have him at 7 stars by the end of his event, but I didn't spring to have him, 7 stars for this last week of the season. So, anyway, the other really important note here in FAQ, thanks for pointing this out, TJ, will Ithano have a bespoke Datacron? Not directly. One of the other pirates will have a bespoke Datacron awarded in their marquee event that has a portion targeting Ithano. Now we know. All right. Abilities. As always, I guess we'll start with the leader. Crimson Corsair. Final text. At the start of battle, all pirate allies gain 30% max health and max protection, then gain offense up and tenacity up for 1 turn. At the start of their turn, if a pirate ally has more buffs than debuffs, they gain a stack of Profit, stacking maximum of 5. If they have more debuffs than buffs, they lose a stack of Profit. Really straightforward ability. I think, Dagger, I think you were saying earlier, this is just an Omega, right?
Yeah. I was
leadership.
Earlier when I was talking about this, I was like, yeah, this is an Omega ability. Not that it matters a ton, but the reason I brought it up is I was curious to whether or not this would be considered an early game team going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because generally, if they give a lead in Omega, it's meant for early game, or something like that.
For brand new kit, modern kit, this is a very stripped down leadership. So yes, I think that's very much the case. So there's probably going to be like an A and B team pirates, and this is going to be your B team, like your junior pirate squad
he's
leader.
not meant to do anything, and that's why if you look, the Omicron is on his unique. He's definitely a part of a team, not this is your team.
But if you look at like Hondo's on a really cheap Cantina node.
Hmm.
So that's why I was saying that this might be a more early game team for like, if not 5v5, 3v3.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking from like this may be a way to introduce new players into getting a GL, right? Like, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Isn't this also possibly like a situation like bounty hunters, inquisitors, kind of scoundrels, where like they might just be throwing out leads left and right?
Yes.
Yeah, that could also be it too.
Yes.
Sure.
Because I will tell you, if we played it, I know we're gonna go. This is one of the most underwhelming marquee events that a frustrating thing had caused me in a very long time, where I lost or was about to lose the character that it was designed for. And
Well, that's because they
Believe
don't
it-
let you use your own character. They just give you the character.
I know,
like,
but what I'm
sick.
saying is, look historically, when we've even used their characters in the marquee event, at least it feels somewhat like adequate to the level. This feels
It's the rare
laughably,
characters that can't defeat his own event.
dude. It's
Yeah.
laughably,
Or at least one's risking that.
It is laughably underwhelming
Yeah.
to see this character in the first event. I'm not talking about when they give you the level 6. I'm talking in the key start of the event, and I used it and I opened it, and I was already hands in the air, like, how am I struggling to actually do something when you're supposed to be showing
In the
like the
very
benefits
first mission.
in the very first mission?
Yeah.
Laughably.
That might be a skill issue. Maybe that might be a skill
No, it's
issue.
100%. It's 100% a skill issue. If
Yes.
you weren't feeling this way, then apparently we played
I hit-
something different.
I
This
hit
is
auto
bad.
and I walked away and I came back and it had won.
Okay. Try it and actually just watch the fight, and Dagger, you'll come back and,
Yeah.
and
To be honest,
understand
I
my
also
sentiment.
autoed. I also autoed,
yeah,
and it
I'm
also
young.
looked bumpy to me. Sorry, go ahead, Dad.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hit auto and walked away, came back, and I passed.
No,
Yeah.
I
That's why
respect
I was
it.
making the joke. That sounds like a skill issue.
No.
I honestly had no idea.
Play it and see because obviously we're gonna play it, right? You're gonna do the 7 days. I don't think anybody, and I know this question will come up of buying it. Go watch it, and you're going to roll your face across a keyboard of like, oh my god.
Mm.
You'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Alright.
Well, let's get into the next skill, guys. Unique 1. I don't wait. Oh shit! I didn't read the other Billy right. I got
You sure
Crimson
didn't.
Corsair. All right, the record is corrected. Nobody heard otherwise. Unique 1. I don't die so easily. Zeta Omicron. Final text. At the start of battle, if all allies are pirates, Ithano gains 50% offense, and the first time Ithano is defeated, he is revived with 50% health. While Ithano has Foresight, he gains 30% offense, and whenever Foresight expires, Ithano gains Retribution for 1 turn. Whenever Quiggled falls below 50% of his health for the first time, Ithano marks himself for 2 turns. While Ithano is marked this way, he gains 80% bonus protection, 40% offense, and tenacity up until marked expires. If Ithano defeats an enemy while he is marked this way, he gains 2 stacks of profit, stacking max 5. Whenever Ithano uses an ability on his turn, he gains Foresight for 1 turn. Whenever Ithano uses a special ability and has at least 4 stacks of profit, remove all the stacks and deal bonus true damage to the target enemy. And then there is a TW Omicron, but that's not what we do here. Okay, any thoughts you guys had on this? I guess I should give you the chance.
This be a bad this be a mediocre.
Yar!
I think when we get the full picture with the
Oh, yeah,
unique, I'm only going to go like this.
Yeah.
I think the unique is interesting calling out to SME because it's calling and like I said, if you look at where I obviously know we're talking about a TW Omicron, I'm sure there's pieces that will make it cool when we see Fatal called it perfectly. I'm waiting 3 months to see some stuff for it to make more sense. I like the idea. They said offense on, like, they're stacking it like we have an exhibit over here for cars. Or how you like offense on your offense, bro. So let's stack some more. It's cool. That's a great ideology of what we'll get to see. They even called it a character we don't have yet, and what Quiggled or whatever his name is. That's cool. But like, this is a great. We're down the road. this may have been needed to come out later, and I think it's because this pirate has a leadership that they needed to get it out, and I think they said something about that. But man,
He's a pretty simple character, which I do
I
appreciate.
agree. Yeah.
The only downsides, we'll get to that shortly, I guess, but I don't. It's one of those things where he has a relatively simple kit. His leadership is an Omega, and he has callouts in his kit if the leader is a non-GL, which means it's unlikely he's going to be on the Hondo GL team.
Fair.
I think that's a great call out.
Which is why I said that he feels to me like a starter character for like newer players or lower GP players.
Well, so
kinda
even
like
as
how
a whale, I mean, he kind of feels like, what's the right analogy? I would say, like, as a parent, I would say for my kids, he's like broccoli. He's what needs to be consumed before dessert is going to be permitted, and that's fine. I actually really enjoy broccoli, but yeah.
And also, as a parent, you're not mad; you're just disappointed.
See, I have found that if you have like limp broccoli, yeah, kids won't eat it. But if you have like the crisp, sharp broccoli
Man, that's it.
with like some ranch or some like queso, my kids devour
So
that
we're
crap.
talking about, you're feeling like this is the over-steamed broccoli. We're talking about you apply the fork and it just turns to mush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good metaphors here. I'm like.
Although to be fair, my kids view broccoli as a ranch/cheese delivery system.
It's a medium for that.
A Midwestern tradition. All right, let's get into the basic Corsair blaster rifle. I caught myself. Final text: deal physical damage to target enemy and gain offense up for 1 turn. During Ithano's turn, grant foresight to pirates, support, and tank allies for 1 turn. So nice.
This basic is also super, I think, underrated on its surface.
Yeah, it's a
Now,
banger.
it's going to scale with how good the supports and tanks are
Mhm.
on his team, but giving out mass foresight on basic is nutters.
Yes, I agree. And it's not limited by like only on Ithano's turn language.
Yeah. No, it is. During Ithano's turn, grant foresight.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. But I'm more referring to the fact that it actually says like there's no limit to not a random, it's all.
Fair.
I do agree with you. They are putting some good stuff into some of the basics that they're doing, and you're right. Giving an unlimited foresight, especially when it looked like I thought I saw calling assists and stuff like that. I understand it's his turn, right? Maybe there's going to be pass backs to make it go more. And also tying into, they keep calling out this pirate support and tank allies, and I know Smee, and I'll keep going back there because I feel like Smee's probably going to be on Ithano's team. There was talk of how this is going to align from one to another.
Fair. All right. Special 1. Lower ye shields. Cooldown of 4. Final text: deal physical damage to target enemy. If the target enemy has defense up or protection up, steal them, reset their duration, and grant stolen buffs on himself to all pirate allies, then attack again, dealing 50% more damage. If no buffs are stolen, attack again and inflict defense down on target enemy for 1 turn. If Ithano has 3 or fewer stacks of profit, dispel all buffs on the target enemy. If Ithano has more than 3 stacks of profit, he dispels all debuffs on himself. Nice.
Do we know if the steal is a potency tenacity check?
Ooh, that's a good question. You would think it. I mean,
I haven't looked at the GG.
I don't think they've ever actually. They're just now bringing up steel in general because this says what it is, but they've never actually given any more information to that beyond the introduction in his kit, I believe. So you're right.
The
I
only
don't
reason
know.
I ask is that if there is a potency tenacity check, there might actually be like some value to not putting potency on him for the defense down. But then you come on a potency for the defense down. Anyways, I'm just saying there's a little bit of push pull there that makes this really interesting if steel is a potency tenacity check.
Would you know anything about that yet, Fatal?
Sorry.
Sorry, I was trying to report a bug. What was the?
Yeah, do
You
you
know
know?
it's
Do you know if using steel is a potency tenacity check?
I would have to imagine it won't be. I mean, there's precedent for it back in like. I mean, what was it? Kit Fisto or I think it was Plo Koon as like a launch character who I think had a dispel check on that basic originally, or a potency check for the dispel. CG eventually removed it, so I would use that as precedent to hopefully guess that like probably it's not going to be that it's just going to work that way. But never say never.
It does just call out. So it basically says if they have it, they just steal it. So I
Yeah, I
don't.
was just saying like
I think it calls
TMR has a. The only reason
right.
I ask is like TMR is also a potency tenacity check, and so I was mostly just like,
Well, I think you're asking a great question because it doesn't say it can't be evaded or resisted, right? There's usually when we don't have to worry about the checks, it usually gives us some indicator to align to that point. Here it's just saying do this.
All right.
There will be questions of like, I think GMI, if someone has Foresight, GMI can still steal their buffs, right? You just won't steal Foresight. Like it might be an order operations thing happening that
I
like
see
maybe
that.
if it does damage first,
Well,
then it fails the steal attempt.
GMY copies. Stealing implies that you're dispelling them.
But
Yes.
the ability might just be coded as copy and then dispel.
Oh yeah. Fair.
I think we need Swigo to tell us to show us the order of operations that I think is where you're going, if I'm not mistaken, Fatal.
Yep.
Show me the formula.
Pretty much.
All right. We'll have to get a follow-up on that then. All right, special 2. Intimidating display. Cooldown of 4 with the Zeta. Final text. Deal physical damage to all enemies. Gain defense penetration up for 2 turns. And expose the target enemy for 1 turn. If the ally in the leader slot is a non-galactic legend pirate support, and Ithano has Foresight, attack again, and call allied Kix and Quiggled to assist. If Ithano has at least 4 stacks of profit, inflict fear on the target enemy for 1 turn at the end of his turn, which can't be evaded or resisted.
Another interesting point about this kit is that if you look at his Zetas don't add as much as you'd think. For example, on his unique, he has Foresight, he has 30% offense whenever Foresight expires, he gains retribution. That's good, but that's the Zeta. On his special, the Zeta is just the fear.
So not a lot given. Yeah.
I will say the fear is the sort of thing that like we saw it on Luthen, right? It's like it's not that great up until like, oh shit.
Oh, I'm more referring to like how the Zetas don't feel critical to how his kit plays, and this is the reason why I thought he was like a newer game character for players who are starting.
But I think is interesting in there. They did it the last time. Whenever they had a character they're going to bring in, they would normally either do the update. Okay. I'm going to put it this way. It feels lazy in transcendence of historical setups where we understand there's other characters coming out and it doesn't make a lot of sense now, but it will later. Here, it's just like, we already know the characters are coming out. They're not going to come back and rewrite the kits. We're just going to leave it as it is. And since we can't see the other characters aligned together, maybe that's why it feels so bad doing the marquee event for now. So I'll give CG the benefit of the doubt. And that once, like Fatal said, we see the other ones like the Kicks, the Quiggled, this makes more sense. This feels a little bit better. And now you start seeing assisting coming on and more damage points. But it just feels, I guess, good for the knowledge we know what's coming. And it doesn't have to feel like, how is this going to work together? Well, we see Kicks and Quiggled now, but it feels lackluster just on without the other two, I guess.
Didn't we previously have a marquee we couldn't complete based on difficulty?
A marquee we couldn't complete?
I feel like in the past we had some kind of event for a new character that
I
couldn't
can't
be
remember when
completed
that would have been the case.
I want to say it was like a year and a half ago, maybe 2.
Hmm.
But I remember having long conversations about how like they had to go in and like nerf the difficulty of the event because people could not pass it.
I do remember the nerfing the difficulty, so I do remember a conversation about that. But this is just the one where it's like we know the names that are coming out, but they've got his kit written all over the place of Quiggled, Kicks Quiggled, and we're starting to see. We know that they're going to be the team together, and also to your point of the specific call out, non-galactic legend pirate support. I wonder who that could be. So it's just seeing they're basically aligning us already. That maybe just the order of operations in which they deliver the character, because he has a lead, it feels off, and that's the reason why.
He also has a relatively simple kit, which I do like.
I love simple kits.
Yeah, we'll have to see because it's tough to judge. We know that their philosophy is looking at a whole team's kit and then kind of breaking it up. So
Yeah.
less here, more on someone else, and then it all fits neatly together in the end, in the final product type of thing.
And
Yeah, the leaders tend to come out first and have the least amount of moving pieces, and then the characters that come out after add more moving pieces to the fight, improving the team.
Maybe what this is it'll be new Bad Batch-esque. I love the new Bad Batch team, but it's so ingrained in the full team with when they're all together, you have all of these different benefits. So maybe that's what this is going to be with this faction, to where when the full pirate team is together, there's going to be nuances from each one that really just makes this one super powerful team combined.
Mechanically,
I was actually going to say that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there's an entirely decent chance that this is just the batcher of the squad where you're better off just not using them.
So you see it. So just like I said, I love the new Bad Batch team, but there's so many mechanics ingrained into so many parts of their team as a whole that when you have the full unit, it's powerful. This feels like.
To be clear, Batcher sucks at the full team.
But that's my going back to my point. It's just that maybe that we don't get any of the pictures because they directly already call out characters we don't have access to yet.
The problem with the Bad Batch team is that even Hunter, outside of his one big ability, doesn't actually add that much utility or damage to the team.
So. Your Honor, I will defend the fuck out of Hunter. Hunter is great.
All right.
You'll find him making meaningful contributions to Crosshair and Omega, but I get your point. I'm saying that the new Bad Batch team is, I think, just underwhelming across the board, in my opinion. But
it's okay. I've had mixed
I think it's
results.
healthier for the game as long as people continue to think that the meta would suck right now if people were actually using them.
That's fair, I guess.
Well, I will say that thematically, love the idea of engaging profit on a bigger scale and stealing. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff there. So I'm into that, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the kits. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, this is kind of what you hope for, right? Is I'm not here saying I'm interested in pirates. I'm certainly not interested in Hondo, but at the very least, right, my allegiance is always to the kits.
Yeah.
And so you say, okay, pirates open up some potential ripe new space. Steel is a new mechanic that's definitely signaling in that direction. They're like, all right, we might get some ideas in here.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm of the exact same mind. Pirates are whatever, man. It's pirates. Why not put in ninjas next? Cowboys after that? Whatever. But make the kits interesting, and I'll play along.
I'm kind of thinking Dark Ray. The conversation we had with Dark Ray came out where it's look, man, I don't think a 2-run series comic for a character who was in 5 minutes of The Force Awakens was the number one list on the money making opportunity costs.
And you're being CG so kind, so generous. It's 5 seconds, if that, of screen time.
I'm way overestimated because I don't remember the movie. But yeah, I think CG probably went here because especially I saw in the comments this does seem to be Kix, especially as a beloved character for people who know him. And CG are
absolutely a cult favorite.
People like to give CG a lot of shit because lore isn't always represented in game, but CG are massive nerds. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some labor of love in this project.
Is this an animated short that these guys are from? Because it says right here, this guy seems cool. Where can I learn more about him and his crew? Ithano is featured in the short story, The Crimson Corsair and the Lost Treasure of Count Dooku, where we get to meet him. It's 2
comics, I believe.
Oh, it's a comic. Okay.
Yeah, they called it out, and it's on the wiki. when you go look at the wiki where it all came in, it's broken out about it.
Okay, dig it.
Honestly, until Fatal said it, it makes sense that this team just feels like an excuse to release kicks.
Sure.
The
Okay.
kicks, I would imagine, is where a lot of sauce is going to be. I mean, that shit could
Yeah.
even hit like General Skywalker, like Captain Rex. Fucking like kicks could easily be like a C-3PO style. Like, oh, this motherfucker just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Any other
One
thoughts?
other thing I'll add.
Oh, please.
Yeah, just generally, and it makes me, it gives me some good, like, warm fuzzies about the Pirates generally, which I wasn't, crossing my fingers and hoping we'd get Pirates in the game, but I do trust CG, and like I think each of the Bad Batch squads are examples of this, bounty hunters as well, that there are certain new factions that when they introduce, they play differently. Like the experience of playing them or playing against them feels just a little different. And for those of us that have been playing this game for a long time, and I know this is not a squad that's likely to end up in the end game super competitive meta, but it's another flavor. And you can see with Profit and some of the other mechanics introduced how this may be experienced differently. And for a game that's as ripe and as long toothed as Swoga is, I think it's really cool to be getting that. And I know we're not seeing all of that right now in this kit here, but we're seeing hints at it, and I like that. I think that's the type of ingenuity that and creativity that's probably bodes well for the future of the game too.
Sounds good.
One last thing I'll say about it too is
Please.
I also really like how the term steal is not defined by stealing buffs. The steal is what you are doing to the buffs, which means that they can use that design space to also steal turn meter and steal mastery. And I'm just saying, like, I like the idea of being able to steal lots of different things from your opponents.
See, stealing
Steal
buffs,
off-
I could see like a ripping off and taking off to myself. But if you're like draining stats, that really, like, I could see the first case happening without a potency tenacity check. But any of those latter cases feels like that feels abusive, doesn't it?
Well, it depends on how they're balanced. And,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
like, I don't.
Yeah, of course. But
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
asking
simply
how you feel
confused.
about that thought, though. You think that should have
Sure.
to pass it or not?
Well, no, that's not really relevant to my point, I guess. But it's a thought experiment. My point is mostly that they didn't define steal as stealing of buffs.
Yeah.
Right. So they can use the keyword steal someplace else
That's
as
a
well
good
with
observation.
characters' kits. And I
You
think
know how
that's
I know that next year is going to be just one straight year, all Andor content, nothing else. 2 GLs, 4 raids. Jin Urso actually is like a prototype implementation for stealing TM. If she removes your TM, she gets how much she removed. So this is clearly just an ongoing nod to them making new Rogue One characters. Their heads in space.
I expect a lot of Rogue One content. I really do.
I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it here. But I'll say one thing that Arnold put out, and I could see this being a true thing. This could also be the year of a new faction of ships. I'm leaving it here because it starts here. There's no reason that we could not possibly see, because we'll have the guy who led the ship as a possibility of getting a new fleet that will be the forthcoming, because there's been really nothing to build. So I'm just calling it out.
The character, the guy you have to arm.
This is why I'm saying this. I'm leaving my tin hat here and now to keep it closed to the faction. It is an easy sell that nobody's going to really build it, and then that becomes the fleet, and then yes, you're R9ing all of the characters who will require it with the starting, etc. So I'm just leaving it here now.
See under the helmet, but what you're saying is that maybe Admiral Akbar under there.
That could obviously. I don't think it's Ithano. I think it's what's his name. It'll be with Smee on the team, and then that's going to be your new fleet, and that's your. So this could be the attacker setup. So we'll see, but it makes sense, because if you bring this and they're good in the raid, and then now that's your fleet, there's your crystal income. We're R9ing all of these characters.
They're also going to add more pirates in the future, because we aren't getting Smee's captain, I don't think, and we're not getting Jude Law's character. At least that's
Jod Marud, yeah.
We are. He's Captain Silver, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, we're getting
Yes,
we
that's
get
right.
Captain Silva.
Yeah,
as
he's
like
just not being named Jod
That's
Narud.
That's what I'm saying. He could easily be Salvo or whatever his name is, Jude Law's character as
That
your
might
new
be another
admiral.
character version of him. Like he's going to be Captain Silvo with the helmet on, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Easy for them to sell, but it's like again, put your tin hats on, get your booties ready,
Yeah,
fellers.
If you're looking at this in that lens too, this might actually just snap everything into a place. You know what this character is? This character is Second Sister.
I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Yeah.
This is
the relevant pilot or the capital ship, and then everybody else is like the relevant pieces of the team.
Yeah,
you got it.
The
Okay,
first
you know
of
what?
the crew, but the least among them.
What's the? I mean, obviously, this is fucking self-explanatory, but this is Galaxy Heroes brain fucking working here. His first name is Captain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, now we do have Admiral Trench, who is the only admiral in the game who doesn't have an admiralty, but I mean, his name is Captain. Like, he that maybe means something, or I guess Drogon doesn't have a ship either. But either way, usually in Galaxy of Heroes, having a name like that tends to mean something.
Wait, is Captain Rex a pilot?
Give it enough time, anything is possible.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
Give him an Arc 170 that fights with the rebels.
Rex had the sin of releasing at a time where CG was like, what's a ship?
Yeah.
Rex also had the sin of being released too early for the GL, so he was like semi-connected, where they could have done more if they'd released him later, or more if they'd released him earlier.
They're saving Captain Rex for the vehicle mode where he's gonna have the fucking Jupa slinging walker fucking thing that they had. Go fishing.
All right, guys, thank you for reviewing this with me, and yes, thanks to all of you watching. Appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit subscribe to see more from the channel, and until next time, it's been real, it's been awesome, it's been real awesome. Take care.